All right, so we give all the glory and the praise to the Most High. Ahaya, Ashar, Ahaya, we thank you, Shia, and Walawat for Holy Spirit. So, we're going to get right into the lesson tonight. And this lesson is about your salvation and I guess what you would trade for it, what you would do for it. Um, Basically, your salvation and being a servant of the Most High. Right? So, we're going to get right into it. We want to say peace to the 12 tribes that are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. We want to say shalom to the Gentiles who have the surname of Israel, but they follow the law, statutes, and commandments. Thus, they have the surname of Israel. We also want to say you should have the King James Bible and your pen and paper. Alright? So we're going to get right into the lesson. And when we look around years ago, we see that people are serving the Most High, but they don't want to keep His laws. They don't want to keep His commandments. A whole lot of people think that they are serving, but they don't know anything about what the book says. And they don't want to give up anything. They don't want to serve the Father at any cost. Right? The biggest thing is that when you start serving the Most High, you start serving, then you're going to give up a lot. You're going to give up a lot. You've got to change your behavior. That's the one thing that you have to do, is you have to change your behavior. But the other thing that you have to do outside of changing your behavior is that you have to give up things. You have to give up things that you love. You have to give up things that you may crave. You have to give up a lot. Okay? Your behavior is going to promote that. When we start looking and we start seeing, we want to show. We want to show what it's like, and what the Lord said. And there's some servants who are in the Bible who serve the Most High, right? There are some servants who did that. We're going to go to Luke the 14th chapter. Maybe we're going to pull it up here like that. All right. So, maybe after this lesson, you'll have a second thought on your salvation, right? Maybe after this lesson, you'll have a second thought and you'll understand that this is not a cakewalk. That this is not something that you're just gonna glide right in and go through. Okay? We are servants of the Most High. And you are a servant of the Most High at all times. Not at some times, or not when you're feeling good. We're going to see what Yeshua said. When you start talking about serving Yeshua, if you're not ready, you're going to get knocked off. If you're not ready to serve, if you're not ready to give up, if you're not ready to do anything, then you're going to get knocked out. The one thing that Christianity teaches, or Christianity says, is that when you come into the truth, when you're saved and all this other stuff, birds start chirping and chirping at you, and flowers start blooming, and plants and trees are just blossoming. You're walking down the street and it's a bright sunny day. There's no cares in the world, right? But that's wrong. That type of teaching is wrong. And that's something that we don't teach. Then you start to read your Bible and you start to wonder, what is this preacher telling me? What is this preacher teaching me? You start to understand and know. I still got to pay my car note. That God, Most High is not going to pay my car note. I still have to eat. Father is not going to sit there and kill an animal for me so I can eat. I have to work for it. Right? So we're going to understand something about salvation. And we're going to understand something about what would you do for your salvation. Right? We're going to start this off at Luke the 14th chapter. And we're going to start at verse 25. We're going to start it off at Luke 14 and verse 25. Right? What would you do for your salvation? Right? Luke 14, 25 and 26. All right, let's read that.
Luke chapter 14, verse 25. And there went great multitudes with him. And he turned and said unto them, If any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sisters, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple.
Right? See that? Hate even his own life. Go ahead. The 26. Okay. So, that's a pretty harsh statement, right? That anybody comes, and he's talking about hate. Now, what he's talking about is when it comes to a point where you have to serve him or you have to serve your parents or other people's wishes. That's what that's what he means when he talks about hate. Right? You're going to serve him or you're going to serve other people's wishes. That's when he says you have to hate. You have to turn away from those people. You have to want to serve him and only him. Let's read 27 and 28.
Luke chapter 14, verse 27. And whosoever doth not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. For which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he hath sufficient to finish it?
Okay. So, Yeshua is saying, have you ever sat down and thought about what it means to serve? Have you ever sat down and thought of the consequences? Have you ever sat down and thought about the repercussions that are going to happen? Have you ever sat down before you said, yeah, I'm going to serve, and actually wrote a list of things that could possibly happen to you? Things that could happen to your family members. Yeshua is saying, you got to be prepared. You got to understand and know what it is to serve me. And that means you got to take up your cross. You have to deny everything of the world. And you got to take up your cross to follow me. Right? Let's continue on. 29 and 30.
Verse 29. Lest haply after he hath laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it begin to mock him.
Right. So then what happens is that when you start to, you say, I'm going to serve. I'm going to step out. I'm going to serve. You did not count up the cost. You did not evaluate this thing and say, okay, I know that there's going to be certain things that are going to happen to you. You didn't do that. What you did is you felt emotional, and then you said, okay, I love him, he loves me, so I'm going to serve him. So then you start to do it, but then the demons are sitting back watching you, knowing that you didn't count up the cost on what's going to happen. So then they start to fight you, then they start to mock you, they start to ridicule you, they start to make you look like a complete fool. Right? Because you did not sit down, you did not have a blueprint, you did not have a plan, you just went on in with emotion. And when we do things in emotion, more than likely destruction is going to happen afterwards. Let's continue on.
Verse 30, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish.
This man started a ministry, was not able to finish. This woman started preaching or started praying and was not able to finish. This man started to serve Father and he could not finish. This woman started to prophesy and she could not finish. It's because the counting up and the getting prepared was never done. It was done out of emotions. There wasn't a thought process to this. And you got to have a thought process to it, as we're going to see later. Let's keep going to verse 33.
Verse 31, or what king going to make war against another king sitteth not down first, and consulteth whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000.
Yeah, see, you did not count up the cost. You did not sit back and say, you know what? I need to evaluate my life. I need to evaluate the things that I do. And I need to sit down with a list. I need to go through the Bible, and I need to compare my list with the Bible, and I need to find out what it is to serve. What does it mean to serve? I want to do it, but I need to find out what it is. And yes, we have some kind of extreme cases, but really they're not extreme. Keep going.
Verse 32, or else, while the other is yet a great way off, he sendeth an ambassage, and desireth conditions of peace. Verse 33, so likewise, whoever he be of you that forsaketh not all that he hath, he cannot be my disciple.
All is absolute. There's no some, there's no maybe. All is absolute. If they oppose the word, you leave them alone. He said after verse 30, and verse 30, he says, think about this thing. If you're going to serve me, consider it carefully. You don't build a house and then you stop it in the middle of construction. Right? You don't do that. So Yeshua is saying, hey, you must think of what you're going to do. Think about it. Don't just jump and start doing it. Think about it, right? Maybe you'll hear a second thought, right? Maybe you'll hear a second thought. It's not anything to play around with. We're going to go to Leviticus, the 10th chapter. So let's see some people. Let's see some people in the Bible. And let's see, these people are the ones that you got to contend with to get to the New Jerusalem. You have to contend with these people who we're about to talk about to get to the New Jerusalem. Faith varies. It varies. Right? Faith is not the end all of everything. Fear is. Fear is. Faith varies. Fear absolute. Because if you fear Yeshua, if you fear the Most High, you're going to do what is expected. But in order to get to the New Jerusalem, you got some big companies, right? Let's go to Leviticus, the 10th chapter, and we're going to be in Leviticus for a minute. Leviticus, the the 10th chapter, and let's see about someone who you got to contend with in order to get to the New Jerusalem. Leviticus 10, and we're going to start at verse 1. We're going to go through 7 for now. Genesis 10, 1 through 7. Right? You want to make it to the New Jerusalem? You got to be like this person. Let's read.
Leviticus chapter 10, verse 1. And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer, and put fire therein, and put incense thereon, and offered strange fire before the Lord.
All right, they offered strange fire before the Most High. Right? They offered strange fire. Go ahead.
Which he commanded them not.
He commanded them not. So apparently they were doing something, prayers or whatever the case may be, that they weren't supposed to be doing. Keep going.
And there went out fire from the Lord, and devoured them, and they died before the Lord.
Okay, so they offered strange fire. They never should have used it. Priest, if you're going to think the Most High has a special place for priests, he does. He kills those who don't follow his word. So a lot of people, well, yeah, God has a special place for him. Yeah, he does. If you do not follow his word, according to his word, he has a special place for you. And you're not going to like it. Verse 3.
Then Moses said unto Aaron, This is that the Lord spake, saying, I will be sanctified in them that come nigh me, and before all the people I will be glorified.
He said, I'm going to be sanctified. Your sons were not sanctified, but I will be sanctified. Separated. Go ahead.
And Aaron held his peace.
Aaron held his peace. Aaron didn't say anything, right? His sons are stricken down. Aaron did not say not one word, but there's more to this. Keep going.
And Moses called Mishael and Elizaphat, the sons of Uzziel, the uncle of Aaron, and said unto them, Come near, carry your brethren from before the sanctuary out of the camp.
Carry them out. Carry those bodies out. Keep going.
Verse 5. So they went near, and carried them and their coats out of the camp, as Moses had said. And Moses said unto Aaron, and unto Eleazar, and unto Ithamar, his son, Uncover not your heads.
Uncover not your heads. Keep going.
Neither rend your clothes.
Neither rend your clothes.
Lest ye die.
Lest ye die. You can't even weep for them. You better not weep for them. You better not show no emotions at all. Or else you and your sons are going to die. So this is Father telling through Moses to tell Aaron and his two sons, don't you weep for them. They was offering strange fire. Don't you weep for them. You better stand there and you better not show any emotions. Keep going.
Unless wrath come upon all the people, but let your brethren, the whole house of Israel, bewail the burning which the Lord hath kindled.
Bewail the burning. They're going to burn their bodies. Keep going.
Verse 7.
Come on.
And ye shall not go out from the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
They could not leave. Keep going.
Lest ye die. For the anointing oil of the Lord is upon you. And they did according to the word of Moses.
See, so what happened? They was offering strange fire. The Most High Yeshua came through and said, you know what? They're dead. But Aaron, and your two sons, you are not to mourn for them. Aaron and his two sons, he said, I don't even want to see any expression from your face. Now imagine that. Your child stricken down dead, but the Most High said, I don't even want to see no emotion from your face. You better not show any emotion. You better not cry. You better not wail. Said, don't rend your clothes. Don't tear. Don't you do it. You better stay stoic. Right? seeing his sons burnt up, and he can't show any emotions whatsoever. This is who you have to contend with if you want to get to the New Jerusalem, right? You got to contend with them. Let's continue on in chapter 10, and let's read verse 13.
Leviticus chapter 10, verse 13. And you shall eat it in the holy place, because it is thy due, and thy son's due, of the sacrifice of the Lord made by fire, for so I am commanded.
So see, they still had to do the work. They still had to do the work. They could not skip a beat. They couldn't stop and wail and cry and mourn. They had to continue to do the work. Skip down to verse 16, and we're going to read verses 16 and 20. Chapter and verse.
Leviticus chapter 10, verse 16.
Go ahead.
And Moses diligently sought the goat of the sin offering, and behold, it was burnt. And he was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, the sons of Aaron, which were left alive, saying, Wherefore have ye not eaten the sin offering in the holy place, seeing it is most holy?
They could not do it. They could not do it. They didn't seen their sons burnt up. They couldn't do it. They couldn't finish the offering. Keep going.
And the Most High hath given it you to bear the iniquity of the congregation, to make atonement for them before the Lord. Behold, the blood of it was not brought in within the holy place. You should indeed have eaten it in the holy place, as I commanded. And Aaron said unto Moses,
listen to what he said. Go ahead.
Behold, this day have they offered their sin offering and their burnt offering before the Lord. And such things have befallen me.
He says, such things have befallen me. My two sons, they're gone. Keep going.
And if I had eaten the sin offering today, should it have been accepted in the sight of the Lord?
He's saying, if I ate this offering, it would not have been accepted. Because I'll be doing it out of obligation. Or I'll be doing it out of necessity. I wouldn't be doing it out of love like I was doing it before. I couldn't do it. This is what Aaron was saying. Keep going.
Verse 20. And when Moses heard that, he was content.
Moses heard it. Moses was like, okay, you're right about that. Right? He did everything else. Right? But this is a person who you're going to have to continue with in the New Jerusalem. To get to the New Jerusalem. Okay. Aaron was saying that sometimes you can't do the work because it would not be from the heart. It would be like a ritual. And that's what Aaron was saying. Moses said at that point, you know, my two sons are killed, and Aaron and the other two sons had to still do their duty. They still had to do their obligation. They couldn't stop because Abib and Abib were offering strange fire to the Lord. They couldn't stop doing that. They had to continue doing it. And you have to continue doing it, regardless what goes on. Your children, we love our children. But Yeshaya said, that's why we brought out Luke the 14th chapter. Yeshaya said, are you going to serve them or are you going to serve me? Right? What do you have as a question?
Someone says, Elder, is that the same as Christians when they pray over abominable foods, or when they praise and worship on Sunday? Are they offering strange fire to the Lord spiritually? Will they be consumed?
They will be consumed in the lake of fire. Yes, they are offering strange fire unto the Lord. They are. Praying over pork, praying over shrimp, crab, lobster, whatever the case they eat, whatever the chitlins. They're praying over that stuff, and it's strange fire to the Lord. And he's going to have his way with them. Right? So we don't think about stuff like this. When it comes to serving, we don't think about stuff like this. We don't think about what if my children are not serving? Am I going to continue to serve him? If my child gets struck down dead, am I going to continue to serve him? Or am I going to stop and wail and mourn? We don't know about this. Are you prepared to do this for salvation? Right? Let's see another instance. We're going to go to Judges 11. Judges 11. Used to be a commercial, what would you do for a Klondike bar? Right? And they had these people doing all kinds of outrageous things for a Klondike bar. Now granted, they were pretty good. But at the same time, they had them doing all kinds of stuff. What would you do for your salvation? Right? Let's see something else. Very interesting. Judges 11, and we're going to go verses 1 through 10. We're going to be in Judges 11 for a minute. Judges 11, we're going to read verses 1 through 10. All right, let's read.
Judges chapter 11, verse 1. Now, Jephthah the Gileadite was a mighty man of valor, and he was the son of an harlot, and Gilead begat Jephthah.
Jephthah, right, was born from a harlot, right? Let's read about this guy, and let's see why you have to contend with him in the New Jerusalem. Next verse.
And Gilead's wife bare him sons, and his wife's sons grew up, and they thrust out Jephthah.
They kicked him out. Okay, you the wife of you're the son of a harlot. You got to get out of here. We don't want you around. We don't want your kind around here. That's how they say it in the backwoods of Mississippi. Boy, we don't want your kind around here. That's what they were telling Japheth. Let's go. Let's read.
Thou shalt not inherit in our father's house, for thou art the son of a strange woman.
Strange woman. Go ahead.
Then Jephthah fled from his brethren, and dwelt in the land of Tob. And there were gathered vain men to Jephthah, and went out with him. And it came to pass in process of time, that the children of Ammon made war against Israel. And it was so, that when the children of Ammon made war against Israel, the elders of Gilead went to fetch Jephthah.
They went to get him. Oh, hey, mighty man. Come here, brother. How you feeling? Right? Children of Ammon came against the children of Israel. They came to Japheth. Let's see what he said. Keep going.
Verse 6. And they said unto Jephthah, Come and be our captain.
Come and be our captain, right? Keep going.
That we may fight with the children of Ammon. And Jephthah said unto the elders of Gilead, Did not ye hate me?
Didn't you hate me before? Go ahead.
And expel me out of my father's house?
Kick me out. Go ahead.
And why are ye come unto me now when ye are in distress?
Why are you coming to me now? Go ahead.
And the elders of Gilead said unto Jephthah, Therefore we turn again to thee now, that thou mayest go with us, and fight against the children of Ammon, and be our head over all the inhabitants of Gilead.
Be our head over all the inhabitants, right? Give you this little, throwing a little carrot your way. Keep going.
Verse 9. And Jephthah said unto the elders of Gilead, If ye bring me home again to fight against the children of Ammon, and the Lord deliver them before me, shall I be your head? And the elders of Gilead said unto Jephthah, The Lord be witness between us, and we do not so according to thy word.
There you go. All right. So they made a covenant. They made a vow, right? Let's see. Let's get down to verse 29. And we're going to read 29 to 36. Look at what his vow is. Read verse 29. We're going to go to 36.
Judges chapter 11, verse 29. Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jephthah, and he passed over Gilead and Manasseh, and passed over Mizpah of Gilead. And from Mizpah of Gilead he passed over unto the children of Ammon. And Jephthah vowed a vow unto the Lord, and said, If thou shalt without fail deliver the children of Ammon into my hands, then it shall be, that whatsoever cometh forth of the doors of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the children of Ammon, shall surely be the Lord, and I will offer it up for a burnt offering.
Big mistake.
So
Huge mistake. Huge mistake, as we're going to see later. Right? First and foremost, the Lord was with him. So he didn't have to offer a vow. Do not, under any circumstances, make a vow that you are not going to keep. That is a death sentence. Do not say to the Lord, Lord, I'm going to blank, blank, blank. Don't do that. Because as we're going to see, he's going to hold you to it. But if you make a vow, you got to keep it. You're going to have to contend with this God in order to get to the New Jerusalem. When I say contend, I mean your behavior, everything has to equal or be above what he's doing, what he had to do. Let's see. Continue on, please.
Verse 32. So Jephthah passed over unto the children of Ammon to fight against them, and the Lord delivered them into his hands.
The Lord delivered them into his hands, so that's where his mistake was. See, he was going to be delivered anyway. He was going to be delivered anyway. You cannot make a vow to the Lord and not go through with it. He wanted to make sure that he was doing right. He wanted to make sure that he was going to be delivered, because the elders told him he was going to be their ruler. So he wanted to make sure that they were delivered because he was rejected earlier. So because he was rejected earlier, he said, you know what, Lord? Whatever it is, whoever it is, whatever it is that comes out to meet me when I get home, that's yours. Right? Continue reading it.
Verse 33. And he smote them from Aroer, even till thou come to Minnith, even 20 cities, and unto the plains of the vineyards, with a very great slaughter. Thus the children of Ammon were subdued before the children of Israel. And Jephthah came to Mizpah unto his house, and behold, his daughter came out to meet him.
His who?
His daughter.
Oh, big mistake. Keep going.
His daughter came out to meet him with timbrels and with dancers, and she was his only child. Besides her, he had neither son nor daughter.
See that? He made a vow, though. Came back home, he made a vow. Verse 35.
And it came to pass, when he saw her, that he rent his clothes, and said, Alas, my daughter, thou hast brought me very low, and thou art one of them that trouble me. For I have opened my mouth unto the Lord, and I cannot go back.
See that? I've opened my mouth, and I can't return what I said. I can't take back what I just said. Right? His only child. Go ahead.
Verse 36. And she said unto him, My father, if thou hast opened thy mouth unto the Lord, do to me according to that which has proceeded out of thy mouth.
That's a daughter who loves her father. She said, and it kind of reminds you of the story of Isaac and Abraham. Right? She says, Father, you did it. Got to go through it. Keep going.
For as much, verse 36, and she said unto him, My father, if thou hast opened thy mouth unto the Lord, do to me according to that which hath proceeded out of thy mouth, for as much as the Lord hath taken vengeance for thee of thine enemies, even of the children of Ammon.
Mm-hmm. See that? Even the 10 children of Ammon. Let's skip down and read. We're going to read verse 40. Let's read verse 40.
Judges chapter 11, verse 40. That the daughters of Israel went yearly to lament the daughter of Jephthah the Gileadite 4 days in a year.
Mm-hmm. So they mourned her after the fact. So he offered his daughter up for a burnt offering. Okay? So he did not, he said that he made a vow. And if you make a vow, we're going to go to Deuteronomy 23. If you make a vow that you can't keep, it's very, very deadly to you. Very deadly. Let's go to Deuteronomy 23. And we're going to read verses 21 and 23. It's very deadly. It's huge. He knew it. He knew it. The moment he got home, he probably forgot about it. His daughter comes running out. At that point, he knew it. He got sick to his stomach. But he did not waver. He went on ahead and did what he was supposed to do. Let's go to Deuteronomy 23, and we're going to read verse 21.
Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 21.
Uh-huh.
When thou shalt vow a vow unto the Lord thy power, thou shalt not slack to pay it.
When you make a vow to the Most High, when you make a vow to Yeshua, you better not be lazy with it. You better not be slack with it. You better not procrastinate with it. Oh, it's going to be bad for you. Keep going.
Thou shalt not slack to pay it, for the Lord thy power will surely require it of thee, and it would be sin in thee.
It's sin. It's sin. And a lot of people don't understand that that's a sin. But it is a sin to make a vow to the Most High and not go through with it quickly. Well, I'm going to do it in about 3-4 weeks. No. No. It is a sin if you do not do it quickly. Whatever it is that you vow. You can't wait months, weeks. You got to take care of that thing right then and there. It's a deadly sin, too. Did you finish verse 23?
No, that was
Oh, keep going.
Verse 22. But if thou shalt forbear to vow, it shall be no sin in thee.
That means shut your mouth. Keep going.
That which is gone out of thy lips thou shalt keep and perform, even a freewill offering, according as thou hast vowed unto the Lord thy power, which thou hast promised with thy mouth.
Mm-hmm. So you better make sure that whatever it is that come out your mouth, he's going to require it of you. Just like a free will offering. That's what it is. So the offerings are not done away with. Your vows that you make to the Lord is like a free will offering. And if you take that vow back, it's bad for you. Right? We're going to go to Acts the 4th chapter. What's the question?
Someone says, so the Lord accepted another human besides Josiah as an offering.
Well, understand this. Yeah, I can't pronounce his name. He made a vow. So if you make a vow to the Lord, it doesn't matter what that vow is. You got to go through with it. He didn't tell, the Lord did not, Yeshua did not tell him, make a vow to me and I'll deliver the children of Ammon to you. He didn't say that. He told him that you're a mighty warrior. And we didn't read all of it. But he said, you're a mighty warrior. I'm going to deliver them to you. Japhet put it upon himself to say, hey, whatever. And he didn't say person. He said, whatever comes out of my house first. He's thinking animals. Because when you're in the Bible days, the animals were in the front of the house. So he's thinking an animal's going to come out and that's what he's going to sacrifice. Little did he know that his daughter was the first one to come out. So it's not that it was a requirement because people will know, I know somebody will say something about human sacrifices, right? And that shows ignorance because that's not a human sacrifice. He offered whatever came to him to the Lord. There was no way he was going to say, well, I know my first and only child is going to come out and meet me. So I'm going to offer up if you hand over the children of Ammon. But see, his big mistake was not the vow that the big mistake that he made was not believing that the Shai was going to deliver him from the children of Ammon. If he thought that the Shai was going to deliver him, he would never have made a vow. Okay? But also that rejection from when his brothers disowned him got in there also. Okay? All right. We're going to go to Acts the 4th chapter. And we're going to read verses 32 to 37. Acts 4, 32 to 37. Okay? Let's see something else. Let's read.
Acts chapter 4, verse 32. And the multitude of them that believed were of one heart and of one soul. Neither said any of them that aught of the things which he possessed of his own, but they had all things common.
All things common. They were one heart, they were one soul. All these people coming together. Right? Go ahead.
And with great power gave the apostles witnesses of the resurrection of the Lord Yeshua. And great grace was upon them all.
Grace was upon them all. Go ahead.
Neither was there any among them that lacked.
And none of them lacked anything. None of them. What's wrong with ministries today? They were all on one accord, one soul, one heart. What's wrong with ministries today where people want to separate and do whatever they want to do? Don't want to, no, I don't want to do that. I got to be off. Right? Keep going.
For as many as were possessors of lands or houses sold them.
Sold all what they had. Go ahead.
And brought the prices of the things that were sold. And laid,
go ahead.
And laid them down at the apostles' feet.
Laid it at their feet. Right? Sold everything that they had. Sold whatever it is that they had. Laid it at the apostles' feet. So that they could take care of the widows and the orphans. Take care of the people in the ministry. That was done. Keep going.
And distribution was made unto every man according as he had need. And Joseph, who by the apostles was surnamed Barnabas, which is being interpreted the son of consolation, a Levite and of the country of Cyprus, having land sold it, and brought the money and laid it at the apostles' feet.
Oh, they all did it. They all did it. Right? Was that 37? They all did it. They were on one mind. They were on one accord. They was all had one heart. They all had one soul. They sold their lands. They did all that. And when they sold their lands and all that, they brought the money to the apostles' feet. And the apostles did not take it and say, you know what, I'm going to give me a new Lamborghini Camel. Or I'm going to give me a new Lamborghini, a Testarossa donkey. Right? They didn't say that. They distributed to the people. Right? According to the person's need. The widows, orphans, all that. That's very good. But let's see something. What was the question before we get to Acts 5?
Someone says, I've always thought human sacrifice was an abomination, according to 2 Kings 16:3. But since he made the vow to the Lord, was Josiah testing his faith, or testing to see if he kept his word to the Lord?
No, Josiah doesn't test our faith. Josiah doesn't do that. We sit up there and open our mouth, and then we have to. What did we just read in Deuteronomy the 23rd chapter? When you make a vow, I don't care what the vow is, you better go through with the vow, because if you don't go through with it, it is a sin, and it's going to be required against you. And it's not some small sin. Well, no sin is small, but this is huge. This is huge, right? So it's not a human sacrifice. Once again, it's because of the fact that this guy opened his mouth. There's an old worldly saying, don't write a check that your blank can't cash. Right? And he wrote a check that his blank couldn't cash. It cost him his daughter's life. He made a vow to Yeshua. He did not say, I'm going to kill the first person that comes out to meet me. He said, the first thing that comes to meet me, I'm going to offer it up. Like I said, in the Bible days, at a house, the animals are the things in the front yard. So he's thinking that the first thing that's going to come to him is going to be an animal, not his daughter. All right. So we read Acts 4. One accord, one mind. Gave up whatever it is that they had. Helped out everybody. Let's see something. We're going to go to Acts 5 and we're going to read verses 1 through 10. Acts 5, 1 through 10. All right, let's read.
Acts chapter 5, verse 1. But a certain man named Ananias, with Sapphira his wife, sold a possession, and kept back part of the price, his wife also being privy to it, and brought a certain part and laid it at the apostles' feet. But Peter said, Ananias, why hath Satan filled thine heart to lie to the Holy Spirit, and to keep back part of the price of the land?
See that? See, you can't do anything when somebody's operating in the spirit of the Most High, and you're trying to slender them. Right? But let's see what Peter told them. Keep going.
While it remained, was it not thine own? And after it was sold, was it not in thine own power? Why hast thou conceived this thing in thine heart?
See, Peter is saying, okay, you had this land for $1,000. It was yours. You could have sold it for $1,000 and gave the church $500 and said, hey, I'm giving the church $500, I'm keeping $500 for myself. Instead, showing that I sold this entire land for $500 and doing this. See? Pride, manipulation, lake of fire. Keep going.
Why hast thou conceived this thing in thine heart? Thou hast not lied unto men, but unto the Most High. And Ananias, hearing these words, fell down and gave up the spirit.
Just like that. Just like that. You did a teaching. Spirit of manipulation will get you killed. Keep going.
And great fear came on all them that heard these things.
Mm-hmm.
And the young men arose, wound him up, and carried him out, and buried him.
Now you think of it, this guy came up, offered, they're standing there, Peter's like, hey, why did you lie to the Holy Spirit? You didn't lie to me, you lied to the Holy Spirit. Bam, fell down dead. The rest of them looking around like, oh my goodness. Is that what would have happened to me if I would have did that? Keep going.
Verse 7. And it was about the space of 3 hours after, when his wife, not knowing what was done, came in.
His wife didn't know what happened, right? Go ahead.
And Peter answered unto her, Tell me, whether ye sold the land for so much?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, Yea, for so much.
Hold there. See, this is why you women need to understand and know something. If your husbands, if whoever it is, your husbands are not following the Most High, are doing things, shortcut and everything, and you're following them, you're just as bad as they are. You are just as sinful as they are. Let's see what happened to her. Keep going.
Verse 9. Then Peter said unto her, How is it that ye have agreed together to tempt the Spirit of the Lord? Behold, the feet of them which have buried thy husband are at the door, and shall carry thee out.
They're going to carry you out also. Go ahead.
Then she fell down straightway at his feet, and yielded up the spirit. And the young man came in, and found her dead, and carrying her forth, buried her by her husband.
They made a vow that they could not keep. They made a vow that they could not keep. Everybody was selling the land, giving the money to the apostles to help. They wanted to keep back part of the proceeds. Peter said it was yours in the beginning. You didn't have to do that. If you sold the land, you didn't have to sit there and lie about it. You could have said, we sold the land for this amount. We want to give you guys this amount. It was yours from the beginning. But it's not about that. It's about the vow. That's what it's about. And because they made a vow to the Most High, it was deadly. See, knowledge is powerful. Ignorance is deadly. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 5. Ecclesiastes 5, and we're going to read verses 4 through 6. What would you do for your salvation? Ecclesiastes 5, and we're going to start at verse 4. Let's read.
Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 4. When thou vowest a vow unto the Most High, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools.
See, he has no pleasure in fools. You make a vow, you better do it. Keep going.
Pay that which thou hast vowed. Better is it that thou shouldest not vow than that thou shouldest vow and not pay.
Let me read that in Deuteronomy the 23rd chapter. Keep going.
Verse 6. Suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin. Neither say thou before the angel that it was an error. Wherefore should the Most High be angry at thy voice?
Oh, see, he got you in all corners. Oh, you know what? I really didn't mean it at that time. I was going through. No. It don't work like that. Oh wait, I was in error. I didn't really mean it. I was feeling some things, and no. We're gonna go to Daniel. We finished that? No. Let's finish verse 6.
Wherefore should the Most High be angry at thy voice, and destroy the work of thy hands?
Going to destroy everything that you do. Going to go over to Daniel 3. Daniel 3. And we're going to be in Daniel 3 for a minute. We're going to go Daniel 3 and 1. Daniel chapter 3 and verse 1. Okay, let's read it.
Daniel chapter 3 verse 1. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura, and the province of Babylon.
Alright, so he made a statue of himself. Let's skip down to verse 4, and we're going to read through 9.
Daniel chapter 3 verse 4. Then an herald cried aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, you fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Therefore at that time when all the people heard the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music, all the people, the nations, and the languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up.
I have to understand, Nebuchadnezzar was king of the world at this time. Nobody touched Babylon at this time. Keep going. We're going to go to 9.
Verse 8. Wherefore at that time certain Chaldeans came near, and accused the Jews. They spake and said unto the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever.
O king, live forever, right? Okay. We're going to skip down to verse 12. And let's read verses 12 through 14. Now remember, they said, O king, live forever, right? Keep going. Let's skip down to verse 12.
Daniel chapter 3 verse 12. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king.
All right, verse 14.
Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up?
All right, which I have set up. Already, they're mad at it, and they were slaves, right? But let's see what they said. Let's get down to verse 16, and let's see if they called him O King, right? Live forever. Let's see if they said that. We're going to go 16 and 21.
Daniel chapter 3 verse 16. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar.
They said, O Nebuchadnezzar. I didn't say, O great king like everybody else. O Nebuchadnezzar. Go ahead.
We are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our power whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up.
They said, you know what? First of all, they didn't say, O king, live forever. So that right there was an insult. Then they said, we will not bow down. We will not We will not do any of that craziness or this madness that you got going on right now. Keep going.
Verse 19. Then Nebuchadnezzar, full of fury, and the form of his visage was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake, and commanded that they should heat the furnace 17 times more than it was wont to be heated.
7 times more. He wanted them to snap like, he wanted them to burn up like, like burnt meat. Right? 7 times more. They said, you know what? If we die, we die. But we're not going to bow down to that image. Our Father is going to save us. Keep going.
Verse 20. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, and they were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace.
They were cast in the midst of the burning fiery furnace, right? They're ready to die for it. All right, let's get down to verse 24, and we're going to read verses 24 to 26. Okay, chapter and verse.
Daniel chapter 3 verse 24. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake, and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, O king, true, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the Son of the Most High.
Oh, how would he know that? How would he know that? Right? Let's get down to verse 28. I'm going to read 28 to 30.
Verse 28. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the power of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Changed his mind, didn't he? Go ahead.
Who hath sent his angel and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word, and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any god except their own power.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore I make a decree that every people, nation, and language which speak anything amiss against the power of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no power that can deliver after this sort.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And sometimes you have to be prepared for suffer. If you start for the Most High, He will bless you in the end. Sometimes you have to go through a little suffering to get there. Now, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were ready for it. They were prepared. Right? Let's see something else. Let's go back to Acts the 5th chapter. Let's see someone else who's prepared. Right? So these are the men these are the people who you have to contend with to get to New Jerusalem. These are some great examples except outside of Ananias and Sapphira. Right? That shows you what not to do. Let's go to Acts 5, and we're going to start at we're going to read verses 16 and 20. Acts 5, 16 to 20. Okay? Let's read.
Acts chapter 5, verse 16. There came also a multitude out of the cities round about unto Jerusalem, bringing sick folks, and them which were vexed with unclean spirits, and they were healed every one. Then the high priest rose up, and all they that were with him, which is the sect of the Sadducees, and were filled with indignation, and laid their hands on the apostles, and put them in the common prison. But the angel of the Lord by night opened the prison doors, and brought them forth, and said, Go stand and speak in the temple to the people all the words of this life.
Go stand and speak. Right? The high priest. Let's skip down to verse 25. And let's read verse 25 to 34.
Acts chapter 5, verse 25. Then came one and told them, saying, Behold, the men whom ye put in prison are standing in the temple and teaching the people. Then when the captain with the officers and brought Then went the captain with the officers and brought them without violence, for they feared the people, lest they should have been stoned. And when they had brought them, they set them before the council. And the high priest asked them, saying, Did not we straitly command you that you should not teach in this name? And behold, ye have filled Jerusalem with your doctrine, intended to bring this man's blood upon us. Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, We ought to obey the Most High rather than men. The Most High of our fathers raised up Yeshua, whom he slew and hanged on a tree. Him hath the Most High exalted with his right hand to be a prince and a savior, for to give repentance to Israel and forgiveness of sins. And we are his witnesses of these things. And so is also the Holy Spirit, whom the Most High hath given to them that obey him. And when they heard that, they were cut to the heart and took counsel to slay them.
They took counsel to slay them. Okay, we gotta kill these men. I don't know what's wrong with that. They keep calling on this name. They keep preaching this gospel. We got to destroy them. Verse 28. Wait, no, where are we? 34? Yes, 34.
Then stood there up one in the council, a Pharisee named Gamaliel, a doctor of the law, had a reputation among all the people, and commanded to put the apostles forth a little space.
Okay, let's skip down to, no, let's keep going.
Verse 35. And said unto them, Ye men of Israel, take heed to yourselves what ye intend to do as touching these men. For behold, these days rose up Theudas, boasting himself to be somebody, to whom a number of men, about 400, joined themselves, who was slain. And all as many as obeyed him were scattered and brought to naught.
Okay, Theudas was a false prophet, went around teaching the gospel, well, not teaching the gospel, but teaching whatever it was that he was teaching. And because the Holy Spirit was not with him, he was killed. Okay? Well, let's go down to verse 38. We're going to read 38 to 42.
Acts chapter 5, verse 38. And now I say unto you, refrain from these men, and let them alone. For if this counsel or this word be of men, it will come to naught. But if it be of the Most High, ye cannot overthrow it.
Right. If what you're doing is of the Most High, nothing can stop you. If it's of man or it's of your flesh, it's not going to work. Continue.
Lest haply ye be found even to fight against the Most High. Verse 40. And to him they agreed. And when they had called the apostles and beaten them,
they beat them. This is the second time that they beat them. Right? Go ahead.
They commanded that they should not speak in the name of Yeshua, and let them go.
Now, understand this. They're not talking about in the name of Yeshua. They're talking about the gospel. Okay? That's what they're talking about. They're not talking about they was on the street corner saying Yeshua, 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 Yeshua. No. They were preaching the word. Right? And they didn't want them doing that. Keep going.
Verse 41. And they departed from the presence of the council, rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer shame for his name. And daily in the temple and every house they ceased not to teach and preach Yahshua HaMashiach.
They kept teaching the word. Right? They kept teaching, regardless what was being told to them. Right? What would you do for your salvation? They got beat not once, but twice. And when we get beat, normally we're like, you know what, I'm going to find a way to get them back. They weren't doing that. They were rejoicing that they got beat. Right? Let's go to John 16. John 16, we're going to read verses 1 through 4. John 16, 1 through 4. Okay, let's read.
John chapter 16, verse 1. These things have I spoken unto you, that ye should not be offended. They shall put you out of the synagogue. Yea, the time cometh that whosoever killeth you will think that he doeth the Most High service.
Right, that's what the Pharisees thought. I mean, this ministry, before this ministry got started, we got kicked out of two churches, and we got kicked off, well, we didn't get kicked off the Indian reservation. We just decided not to go back. But we got kicked out of 2 churches, right? Keep going.
And these things will they do unto you, because they have not known the Father nor me. But these things have I told you, that when the time shall come, you may remember that you may remember that I told you of them. And these things I said not unto you at the beginning, because I was with you.
But people are crazy, because people burn down abortion clinics and kill abortion doctors. They do it because they didn't read this Bible. That's not serving Father. That's serving your emotions, right? So you got to deal with this. You have to deal with this book. It's kind of like this. You run in front of a lion and say, I got faith that he's not going to eat me. That's probably crazy. Or you walk in front of a lion and you have a gun and you say, I know this lion's not going to eat me. There's a difference. There's a difference. The word is your gun. You don't go in front of a lion and say, this lion is not going to eat me. I have faith. That lion is going to have a full belly of you. Versus walking and you have a gun and you say, this lion's not going to eat me today. There's a difference. And we need to understand that. Right? Let's go to Proverbs, the 24th chapter. We're going to read 3 verses. Proverbs 24:5, Proverbs 24:10, Proverbs 24:16. That's Proverbs 24:5, Proverbs 24:10, Proverbs 24:16. Let's read.
Proverbs chapter 24, verse 5. A wise man is strong, yea, a man of knowledge increaseth strength.
A man with knowledge increase strength. This up here, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, that's strength. Let's skip down to verse 10 and let's read.
Verse 10, if thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small.
If you faint, if you get sick after everything that you go through, if you pass out after, stuff that you go through, there's something wrong with you. Every time little adversity comes your way, you just falling out, you wailing out, you passing out, you're getting sick to your stomach, you're doing this, you're doing that. Something's wrong with you. Verse 16.
Verse 16, for a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief.
You will fall. Sometimes you will fall, but you got to get back up. Sometimes you will fall, but you got to get back up. You can't fall and then just lay there like the woman, I've fallen and I can't get up. You can't do that, right? Let's see something. You got to be prepared to deal with how you're going to handle things. You got to be prepared. We're going to go to Exodus 32, I believe. Yes. Exodus 32. We're going to be in Exodus 32 for a minute. Exodus 32, we're going to read verses 1 through 7. A few more stops and then we're done for tonight. Yeah. A few more stops and we're done for tonight. Exodus 32, verses 1 through 7. Tomorrow's lesson will be on Abraham's seeds. Unless Holy Spirit decides to change it. Exodus 32, verses 1 through 7. Let's read.
Exodus chapter 32, verse 1. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron, and said unto him, Up, make us gods which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him.
See, that was very disrespectful. This Moses. After everything that Moses had done thus far, this Moses, right? Let's go.
Verse 2. And Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them unto me. And all the people brake off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. And he received them at their hands, and fashioned it with a graving tool. After he had made a molten calf, and they said, These be thy gods of Israel.
Now, hold that for a second, because whenever I read this, I kind of get like upset, right? You just had this thing in your ear or in your nose, and now you're calling it a god. You see how stupid that is? You just had this thing either around your neck, in your ear, in your nose, on your hand, on your wrist, on your feet. You was just wearing these things. You probably washed them off hundreds of times, and now you're calling it a god. Our people are so stupid, it's ridiculous. Keep reading.
Verse 5. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it.
Aaron just wild out. People pleasing. People pleasing will get you destroyed also. Not having a backbone. Keep going.
And Aaron made proclamation and said, Tomorrow is a feast to the Lord.
What feast is that? Keep going.
And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink and rose up to play.
That's like Christmas for Christians. Keep going.
Verse 7. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go, get thee down, for thy people which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves.
You hear what he said? Thy people. He didn't say my people. He said, thy people, your people. They corrupted themselves. Yeshua, he did not own, I'm not taking ownership for that mess. You got to get down there and get him. Let's get down to verse 10. We're going to read verses 10 through 12.
Exodus chapter 32, verse 10. Now therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them.
Let me alone. I'm about to burn them up. Come on.
And that I may consume them. And I will make of thee a great nation.
He said, I'm going to burn them all up. Moses, I'm going to make you a great nation. Keep going.
And Moses besought the Lord his power, and said, Lord, why doth thy wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out of the land of Egypt with a great power and with a mighty hand?
Now, we're going to see something with this, because this is interesting. Yeshua was ready to smote all of them. Moses had a calm tongue about himself, didn't he? It's easy to minister. Very easy to minister when you have the Spirit of the Lord inside of you. But something always makes you snap. Okay, do you read verse 12?
No.
Let's finish. Let's stop at verse 12 for a second.
Verse 12. Wherefore should the Egyptians speak and say, for mischief did he bring them out to slay them in the mountains and to consume them from the face of the earth.
Okay.
Turn from thy fierce wrath and repent of this evil against thy people.
He said, Lord, you repent. Right? Moses, laying it out there. Let's get down to verse 14. And we're going to read verse 14 and 15. Go ahead.
Exodus chapter 32, verse 14. And the Lord repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people. And Moses turned and went down from the mount, and the 2 tablets of the testimony were in his hands.
So Moses really didn't know what was going on. Yeshua just said, hey, you better get down to your people. They're acting a fool. So Moses was like, no, it's all good. Don't worry about it. Give me the 2 tablets. He's got both of them. He's probably carrying like this. Let me go down here and see what's going on. Right? Let's read verse 19 and 20.
Verse 15.
So let's finish that.
The tables were written on both their sides, one on the one side and on the other were they written. Verse 19. And it came to pass, as soon as he came nigh unto the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moses' anger waxed hot.
Oh, man. Oh, goodness. Keep going.
And he cast the tables out of his hands and brake them beneath the
broke
mount.
the 10 commandments. Keep going.
And he took the calf which they had made and burnt it in the fire, and ground it to powder, and strawed it upon the water, and made the children of Israel drink of it.
Made them drink it. Right? Wait a minute now, Moses, you was just telling, wait, Lord, you don't want to smoke them. You know, you got to repent. You bad. What's wrong with you? Moses come down, smiling, laughing with the tablets. See them with having orgies in front of a golden calf. He breaks the 10 commandments, literally, and then he takes the idol, melts it down to water and whatever, and made them drink it. Right? Man, Moses was wrong. What happened? Let's get down to verse 25. Let's read verse 25.
And when Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies.
They were naked. Let's look at this a little closer. Hold that. Let's get Ephesians 6. Hold Exodus 32 because we're coming back. And let's get Ephesians 6. And let's read verse 11. Okay. What's the question?
Someone said, Shalom, I sent an email in the beginning of the week about the information concerning the ministry for instances what changes were going to take place, and the prayer request was never got a response.
That's Princess Issachar?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll respond to your email tonight.
And it says also, in the future, would you be willing to do a new moon teaching?
A new moon teaching? Sure. Not now, because our teachings are pretty solid. We'll do something about the new moon so that we can get a full understanding, because that thing is so whacked out of its mind. But we'll get an understanding. We'll do a teaching on the new moon, on the moons itself. We'll do a teaching. I'll have some notes, but haven't looked at them in a while. But Princess Issachar, we will answer your email tonight. Okay? We're holding Ezekiel, I'm sorry, not Ezekiel. We're holding Exodus 32, and we're going to Ephesians 6 and 11. And let's read that.
Ephesians chapter 6, verse 11. But on the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil.
Stand against the wiles of the devil, right? Let's read verse 10.
Oh, Ephesians?
Yeah, Ephesians 6:10.
Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might.
That's what I wanted to do, right? And then verse 11. All right, let's go back to Exodus 32. And we're going to pick it up at verse 26. Exodus 32. And we're going to read verses 26 to 33. Moses ministering, right? Ministering his heart out. Saying everything right. And then goes down the mountain and see what's going on and just snaps. Some of us elders, we do that. We're okay to we minister and everything, but then when we start seeing sin, snap. Moses, snap. Right?
I think you don't talk about the new moon teaching.
Okay, well, sinner.
It says, I mean, you are teaching every new moon.
No, we don't. We do teaching every Shabbat. No, we do teachings every Shabbat. We don't do teachings every new moon. Okay? Let's go back to Exodus 32, and we're going to read verses 26 to 33. And maybe we still need to do a teaching on new moons, because people are getting, do not understand what the Bible is saying when it talks about new moons. So maybe we will still do that teaching, but we have a lot of teachings to cover. We'll get to that. We may save it for Purim, because we need a second part of Purim. So we may save it for that. Exodus 32, 26 and 33. Let's read.
Exodus chapter 32, verse 26. Then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, Who is on the Lord's side? Let him come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him. And he said unto them, Thus saith the Lord, power of Israel, Put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moses.
Did according to what Moses told them. Go ahead.
And there fell of the people that day about 3,000 men.
3,000 men went to there. Go ahead.
For Moses had said, Consecrate yourselves today to the Lord, even every man upon his son, and upon his brother, that he may bestow upon you a blessing this day.
He gave them a chance to repent. He gave them a chance to change their ways. But they must have been pretty mad with a belly full of gold water. Keep going.
Verse 30. And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses said unto the people, Ye have sinned a great sin, and now I will go up to the Lord. Peradventure I shall make an atonement for your sin. And Moses returned unto the Lord and said, Oh, this people have sinned a great sin and have made them gods of gold.
Oh, goodness. Now remember, Moses was just ministering. Oh, Lord, you can't go down there and smite them. Then Moses go down the mount, throw down the tablets, make them drink gold water, and then goes back to the Lord and said, oh my goodness, these people are something else. Sounds familiar, doesn't it, elders? Go ahead.
Verse 32.
Uh-huh.
Yet now, if thou wilt forgive their sins, and if not, blot me, I pray thee, out of thy book which thou hast written.
He said, just take me out of your book. Take me out of the book of life. I don't want to be there. Keep going.
And the Lord said unto Moses, whosoever hath sinned against me, him will I blot out of my book.
Mm-hmm. There you are. All right, well, Moses, that's something you have to contend with as far as the New Jerusalem. We're going to go to John the 12th chapter. Let's see something. We're going to go John 12, and we're going to read verses 23 to 27.
I read a question with the whole chapter.
Yes.
Someone said, okay, Hebrews 11, 32 and 33, was it because of faith Japheth did this, and was it worked by faith?
No, he didn't have faith at all. He didn't have faith at all. Well, I'm going to say this. He had faith, but that faith was kind of construed because he was told that he was going to be he was going to deliver Israel from the children of Ammon. He was told that. That should have been good enough. He did not have to go and make a vow. He didn't have to do that. He was going to, and the reason why he did it, and I understand why he did it, because he was rejected. He had a spirit of rejection on him from his brothers. So he wanted to make sure that everything that he did was right to get back in the good graces of his brethren, which was a mistake, because what he should have did was just did what he was told according to the Most High. He didn't have to. He didn't have to concern himself about the good graces of his brethren. Remember what Yeshua said. Those who want to follow their mother and father, they're not worthy of me. You got to hate them. And that hate means not physical hate. That hate means you cannot put them above Yeshua. And what happened is that he put them above Yeshua for their approval of him. Okay? All right, let's go John 12. And we're going to start at verse 23. John 12, 23. We're going to stop at 27. Let's read that.
John chapter 12, verse 23. And Yeshua answered them, saying, the hour is come that the Son of Man should be glorified.
Mm-hmm.
Verily, verily, I say unto you, except the corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. He that loveth his life shall lose it. Mm-hmm. And he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal.
Mm-hmm.
If any man serve me, let him follow me. Mm-hmm. And where I am, there shall also my servant be.
Mm-hmm.
If any man serve me, him will my Father honor.
Mm-hmm.
Now is my soul troubled. And what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour, but for this cause came I unto this hour.
Mm-hmm. See, there you go. We're going to go over to Job, the 2nd chapter. We got 2 more stops to make, and then we're done for tonight. Job, the 2nd chapter, and we're going to read verses 1 through 10. See, salvation is much more than what you think it is. And we've only scratched the surface on teachings about salvation. These men went through things for their salvation. Aaron seen his 2 sons burnt like a crisp. Went through something. Fedek, whatever, I can't pronounce his name, I apologize. Had to offer his daughter up as a burnt offering because of a vow that he made. Right? The apostles, preaching Yeshua, get beat, not once, but twice. Preaching Yeshua came close to death. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, thrown in the flaming fire. And we didn't even mention Daniel. We didn't mention quite a few people in the Bible who had obstacles and they overcame it because they didn't want to trade their salvation for anything. Right? Let's go to Job 2, and we're going to read verse 1. Job 2, 1 through 2. Let's read that.
Job chapter 2, verse 1. And there was a day when the sons of the Most High came to present themselves before the Lord. And Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord. Mm-hmm. And the Lord said unto Satan, From whence comest thou? Mm-hmm. And Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth,
go ahead,
and from walking up and down in it.
Searching for people. Go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job?
Put your name there. Put your name there. Why not? You think this salvation comes free? You think this salvation doesn't come with a price? Keep going.
That there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that fears the Most High and escheweth evil, and still he holdeth fast his integrity.
That's what you're supposed to do. In the midst of adversity, in the midst of whatever is going on in your life, you have to hold fast your integrity. Hold fast your integrity. Don't make a vow that you can't keep. And as we saw with Ananias and Sapphira, drop down dead. Keep going.
Although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause.
You're trying to get me to destroy him without any reason. Keep going.
And Satan answered the Lord and said, Skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath will he give for his life. But put forth thine hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face.
See how Satan is the accuser of the brethren? And this is what he says to each and every one of you. This is what he says about to each and every one of you. If you make them lose their job, he'll curse you to his face. If I can get Grace and Vice in his vehicle, he'll curse you to your face. This is what Satan does to get you separated from the Most High. But as we've seen with examples in the Bible, Satan did that to Aaron. Satan did it to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Satan did it to the guy in Judges, whose name I can't pronounce still. Did it. To the 12 apostles, he did it. And I'm not talking, including Judas. I'm not talking about Judas. I'm talking about the one who replaced the disciples. Keep going.
Verse 7. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, he is in thine hand, but save his life. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord, and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown.
See, Satan's obedient. See that? Satan was obedient. When it comes to touching your body, he's very obedient. You can touch him, but you can't kill him. Oh, I'm going to give him some stuff. I'm going to give him some stuff that they don't even know about yet. Right? That's what he does. When it comes to trying to destroy us, he's very obedient. Keep going.
Verse 8. And he took him a potsherd and scraped himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes.
Don't you know how uncomfortable one boil is? Just having one boil on your body is very uncomfortable. Imagine having boils from the top of your head to the sole of your feet. One boil is uncomfortable enough. You got a boil under your armpit, you like, oh, I want to bust it. Then you try to bust it and it hurts, right? But imagine having your whole body. Oh. But Job is a person you don't have to contend with if you want to make it to the New Jerusalem. Keep going.
Verse 9. Then said his wife unto him, Dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse the Most High and die.
You always got somebody. If I haven't remembered, you always got somebody. Keep going.
Verse 10. But he said unto her, Thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of the Most High, and shall not receive evil? And all this did not Job sin with his lips.
Did not sin, right? That's you. That should be you. Okay? We're going to go Isaiah 64, and then we're going to go Mark 8. Isaiah 64, verses 1 through 4. We're going to go Mark 8, 34 to 38. We're going to deal with Mark 8. So Isaiah 64, and we're going to start at verse 1. We're going to go 1 through 4. Job showed us a blueprint on how to keep your salvation and don't trade it for anything. He told his wife, woman, you talk crazy. Yeah, right. All right, go ahead.
The first one is, my question is, where the word Jew is there, because they changed it from Hebrew to Jew. And in the wilderness, some of the men of the Most High will be there, meaning Moses and others.
Not in the wilderness, no. Moses will not be in the wilderness. He's dead. Right? Moses will not be in the wilderness. Moses will be at the 1,000-year reign. Then the Shire is going to rise. So yes, not in the wilderness, no. There won't be any dead people in the wilderness. We're not going to be transformed till after the wilderness. Okay? What was the second question?
What's an example of cursing the Most High?
What's an example of cursing the Most High? Same thing. I mean, if you... Moses did it. Take me out of your book. Right? That's cursing the Most High. Cursing the Most High is... Yeah, that's cursing the Most High. Regardless what name you're putting on. Because you're not cursing Satan. So that's cursing the Most High. Cursing the Most High is saying anything negatively about the Most High. Anything negative. That's cursing. Telling him, kill me now, Lord. You say that. That's cursing him. Okay? So we don't want to do that. Let's read Isaiah 64.
Isaiah chapter 64, verse 1. Oh, that thou wouldest rend the heavens, that thou wouldest come down, that the mountains might flow down at thy presence. And when the melting fire burneth, the fire causeth the waters to boil, to make thy name known to thine adversaries, that the nations may tremble at thy presence. Verse 3. When thou didst terrible things which we looked not for, thou camest down. The mountains flowed at thy presence. For since the beginning of the world men have not heard, nor perceived by the ear, neither have the eyes seen, O power. besides thee, what he hath prepared for him that waited for him.
Hey, what he has prepared for you. What he's prepared for you is New Jerusalem. You want to make it there, look at the examples that we have brought forth out of the Bible. Nothing short. Mark, the 8th chapter. And then we'll open it up to general questions. Mark 8 and 34. Let's read.
Mark chapter 8, verse 34. And when he had called the people unto him with his disciples also, he said unto them, Whosoever will come after me, let him deny himself, and take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever shall lose his life for my sake in the gospel, the same shall save it. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? Whosoever therefore shall be ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him also shall the Son of Man be ashamed, when he cometh in the glory of his Father with the holy angels.
There you go. Notice we did Luke, John, and Mark, that same scripture. But to get you an understanding, what would you trade your salvation for? What would you give up your salvation for? What would you do to earn your salvation? A lot of food for thought. Food for thought. That's interesting. All right, do we have any questions on the chat? We're going to open it up for questions. Questions on your salvation, questions on the study. Tomorrow's lessons, tomorrow we're going to start live stream at 1 o'clock. Our live stream lesson, as of right now, is going to be Abraham Seeds, as we continue the Hebrew Israelite Awakening series. No questions?
No question.
All right. So, with that being said, if you have any questions after the chat's gone, send me an email. Get to thewilderness1@gmail.com. President Sakari will answer your email tonight or tomorrow morning. Right?
If you have liked this teaching, I just do have a question.
Okay.
Someone said, those that endure to the end will be saved. So are people deceiving themselves?
Is that a question?
Yeah.
I don't know what the question
It
is.
says, those that endure to the end will be saved.
Right.
So are people deceiving themselves? And it says like 1 second. Oh no, 1 second, sorry.
Okay.
And then someone asked, who say they are saved already.
Right. You're not saved. Christians, right? You're not saved. Unfortunately, we're not saved until we're at the New Jerusalem. Right? You're not saved right now. You can go to hell right now. But you're not saved until you get to the New Jerusalem. Right? You have another question?
Yes. It says, Elder, can a man shave his head? I keep hearing some brothers say it is a sin for a man to shave his head.
It's a sin for you to shave your head all the way off. It's a sin to have a bald head. Right? But in the book of Ezekiel, Ezekiel went to a barber. Right? So it's not a sin to cut your hair. It's a sin to shave your head. And that's in the book of Leviticus. Right? So that's a sin. To shave your head, to put a razor to your head. That's a sin. Now to cut your hair down, which I need to do, to cut your hair down, that's not a sin. Yeah.
Leviticus chapter 21, verse 5. They shall not make baldness upon their head, neither shall they shave off the corner of their beard, nor make any cuttings in their flesh.
Okay? So that covers your bald head, covers your beard, also covers tattoo. Why is that? Because the Canaanites were doing that quite frequently. The Canaanites, and for women, shaving your head, the women who shave their heads were harlots. That's why women should not shave their head. Men should not shave their head bald. Okay? That's according to the Bible. Or trim up your beard. The Canaanites were trimming up their beards and having all kinds of little marks, and they had mohawks and all this other madness going on. Father said, we're not like them. So don't act like them. You have any more?
Yeah, it says, can women cut their hair and not strip it?
No. Let's get 1 Corinthians 11. No, women cannot cut their hair. Okay? And I know I hear women talk, oh, these split ends, take care of your hair, you won't have split ends. But, I can't really confirm with that, but let's see what the Bible says about cutting your hair. We can go to 1 Corinthians 11. But hair is her glory. Yeah.
1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 6. For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered.
No, keep going down.
For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of the Most High, but the woman is the glory of the man. For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels. Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in the Lord. For as the woman is of the man, even so the man also by the woman, but all things of the Most High.
Keep going.
Judge in yourselves, is it comely that a woman pray unto the Most High and covered? Does not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him?
So if a man has long hair, it's a shame unto him, so you gotta cut it. Keep going.
But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her.
It's a glory. Come on.
For her hair is given her for a covering.
There you go. Okay? So a lot of these camps who tell women you gotta cover up your head, that's fine. It's okay. You can cover up your head if you want to. Right? But that's not your covering. Your hair is your covering. So I know a lot of camps who push that woman have to have her head covered. If you want to, go ahead. But don't cut their hair, don't even trim it. I got these split ends, don't do none of that. Because you're cutting the angels when you're doing that. That's it? Yes. Okay. Alright, live stream tomorrow, 1 p.m., Abraham Seeds.
If you're the Founders Teaching Educational, like it, please like and subscribe to Future Teachers.
Alright, Kwame Yasharala, we will see you later today.
Kwame Yasharala.